10 seconds equals $100 million. That's $10 million per second. All you got to do, stay down. In 1971, this offer was made to Muhammad Ali, and what he did next changed everything. Madison Square Garden, locker room, 45 minutes before fight time. The door opened, no knock. 3 men walked in, expensive suits, cold eyes. The biggest one sat across from Ali. "We need to talk, champ. What do you want?" "Business. Tonight's fight goes the right way. Everybody makes money." "What's the right way?" "Your opponent wins. Round 8. You go down, stay down." "How much?" The man named a number. "Big money. Tax-free. Just take a nap in round 8. Then Ali stood up. 6'3", towering. "You know who I am?" The man laughed. "Muhammad Ali, that's why we're here." "That's right. The man who gave up 3.5 years because the U.S. government tried to make me do something I didn't want. They stripped my title, threatened me with prison. You know what I told them?" The smile faded. "I told them no. The president, the Supreme Court, the military. I said no to all of them. And you think I'm going to say yes to you?" The man's face went hard. "This isn't the government. People who say no to us have accidents." Ali didn't blink. "Is that a threat?" "I've been threatened by experts, the FBI, the Klan, the Nation of Islam. I'm still here." Ali's voice got stronger. "You think you scare me? I fought Sonny Liston. I stood up to a government that wanted to put me in prison. And you think I'm throwing a fight because you showed up with threats? You're making a mistake. No, you made the mistake. You walked into the wrong locker room." Ali moved closer. "Here's what's going to happen. You walk out right now. You tell whoever sent you that Muhammad Ali said no, and if anyone comes again, I'll call a press conference. I'll tell the whole world the mob tried to fix my fight. Then where will you be?" The threat landed. Public attention was the last thing they wanted. "You wouldn't..." Ali smiled. "Try me. I went to war with the U.S. government and won. You think I'm scared of you?" The man stared at Ali, finally nodded. "You're either the bravest man I ever met or the stupidest. I've been called both, usually both at the same time, but I always keep my word. So when I tell you I'll go public, believe me." The 3 men left. That night, Ali destroyed his opponent, knocked him out in round 8, the exact round they told him to dive. After the fight, a reporter asked if he had any trouble. "No trouble at all," Ali said, smiling. "Just had to remind some people who I am." What makes it remarkable isn't that Ali refused. Other fighters had refused. What's remarkable is how he refused. He turned the tables. Made them understand that threatening Ali wasn't like threatening other fighters. Ali had already proven he couldn't be intimidated by anyone, including the most powerful government on earth. There's a lesson in that locker room. It's about knowing who you are, having principles you won't compromise, no matter who's asking. Ali drew his lines years earlier when he refused Vietnam. Once you've given up millions and risked prison for your beliefs, nothing else can move you. By refusing, by threatening to expose them, Ali proved something that transcended sports. Integrity isn't just a word. It's a choice you make when it's difficult, when it's dangerous. The man who visited Ali's locker room learned what the U.S. government already knew. Muhammad Ali couldn't be bought, couldn't be intimidated, couldn't be controlled. That's what made him the greatest. Not just his skill, not just his speed and power. What made Ali the greatest was his absolute refusal to compromise who he was for anyone. The mob learned that lesson in a locker room 45 minutes before a fight. Walked in thinking they'd buy a fighter. Walked out having met a man who couldn't be bought at any price. 3 weeks later, they came back. Different approach. Phone rang. "Mr. Ali, we need to talk. New offer, much better. Fontainebleau Hotel. Tomorrow noon." Next day, Ali arrived with Angelo and Howard Bingham. Public place, lots of witnesses. The man was waiting. Table by the pool. Ali sat. 5 minutes, talk. The man opened an envelope. Photos spilled out. Mansions, Ferraris, private jets. $100 million. For what? One fight. Houston, round 8. Go down, stay down 10 seconds, 100 million. 10 seconds. 100 million, 10 million per second. Ali stared at the photos. Life-changing money. 10 seconds, Ali said slowly. Highest pay rate in the world. Just lie down. Count to 10. Then he looked up. If I had $100 million, but everybody knew I was a liar, would that make me rich? It would make you $100 million richer. No. It would make me poor. You can't buy integrity. $100 million liar is still a liar. Nobody would know. Just you and me. I would know. Every time I looked in the mirror, when my son asked, Daddy, how'd you fool the world? When I stand before God, that would weigh more than 100 million. Be pragmatic. One fight. What's one fight matter? Every fight matters. When I was 12, my bike got stolen. I made myself a promise. Nobody would make me feel powerless again. That promise is worth more than $100 million, more than infinity. That's stupid. No, that's principle. Principles don't have a price. Ali stood. That 100 million? That's a number. But the promise I made at 12? That's me. I'm not selling who I am. Ali walked away, looked back. Watch the Houston fight, round 8. You'll see me hit him extra hard. For even imagining I'd stay down 10 seconds. Loud enough for everyone to hear, the poolside went quiet. The man gathered the photos. Left. You just want to fight outside the ring, Angelo said. Houston, 3 weeks later. Round 8 came. Ali demolished his opponent. Combination. Down. Ref counted to 10. Message clear. Muhammad Ali doesn't stay down. Not for anybody. Not for any price. Word spread. Ali refused the mob. Twice. Threats first. Then $100 million. Other fighters noticed. Promoters noticed. Muhammad Ali proved he couldn't be bought. That was a problem for organized crime. If the most famous boxer couldn't be bought, maybe others would get ideas. So they backed off. Too much attention. Congress held hearings. Boxing and organized crime. Every hearing mentioned Muhammad Ali, the man who refused. But here's what gets forgotten. 1972 was Ali's worst year. Ken Norton broke his jaw. Frazier beat him again. Money dried up. One night, home with Veronica, looking at bills. Do you think about the 100 million? She asked quietly. Long silence. Ali nodded. Every day, when bills come, when kids need things, when my jaw hurts. Do you regret it? No, never. You know what I would have bought? Security, comfort. But what would I have lost? Me. The promise I made at 12. Trade it for $100 million. Not worth it. Veronica held his hand. I love you. I know. And that's worth more than $100 million. The bills kept coming. Medical expenses. The numbers kept dropping. But every time doubt crept in, he'd remember. The offer. And his answer. I'm not selling who I am. Those words became his anchor. Everything changed. Ali beat George Foreman in Zaire. Champion for the 3rd time. Money came back. Fame. Endorsements. But more importantly, respect. Because people knew. Muhammad Ali was offered $100 million to take a dive. He said no. That wasn't just courage, that was character. A sports writer asked, is it true? $100 million? Ali smiled. Let's just say I've had interesting conversations. Do you regret saying no? Every day. I regret when bills come. But there's a difference between regretting and regret. I regret the struggle, but I never regret the decision. If I'd taken that offer, I'd be richer. But I'd be less of myself. No amount of money can buy that back. 10 seconds. $10 million per second. Most expensive 10 seconds in the world. No, most valuable. Because those 10 seconds taught me something. Some things can't be sold. Self-respect is one of those things. That interview ran in Sports Illustrated, became one of their most read articles, because people understood, in a world where everything has a price, here was proof it wasn't true. Ali was offered 10 seconds for $100 million, 10 seconds of pretending, 10 seconds of being someone he wasn't. He said no. Not because he didn't need the money, he did. Not because it would have been hard, it would have been easy, but because those 10 seconds would have cost him something more valuable, himself. The story became legend. Parents told children, teachers used it in classrooms. Muhammad Ali was offered $100 million to stay down 10 seconds. He said no, because some things are worth more than money. It became a lesson about integrity, character, knowing who you are. But the real lesson was simpler. Those 10 seconds weren't just about boxing, they were about life. Every day we face our own 10 seconds, moments where we can compromise, where we can be less than who we are. Every day we choose, stay down or get up. Muhammad Ali chose to get up, not just in that moment, in every moment of his life. When government tried to make him fight in a war he didn't believe in, he got up. When the mob tried to make him throw a fight, he got up. When poverty and pain tried to make him question, he got up. That's what made him the greatest. Not his record, not his titles, his refusal to stay down for anyone, at any price. It wasn't about that one moment, that one offer. It was about a promise a 12-year-old made when his bike got stolen, a promise that nobody would make him feel powerless again. That promise shaped every decision Ali made. When government tried to draft him, he remembered the promise. When the mob tried to buy him, he remembered the promise. When poverty tempted him, he remembered the promise. That's the real lesson. It's not about big moments. It's about the small promise you make to yourself. The promise about who you'll be, what you stand for, what you won't compromise. Then when big moments come, when someone offers $100 million, you remember. You remember that 12-year-old who made a vow, and you say no, not because it's easy, but because that promise is who you are, and you're not for sale. There's a quote from Ali. I don't have to be what you want me to be. I'm free to be what I want. The mob wanted Ali to take a dive. The government wanted Ali to be a soldier. Society wanted Ali to be quiet. But Ali refused. He was free to be himself, fully, completely, without compromise. That freedom cost him 3.5 years, millions in lost earnings, opportunities, but it gave him something more valuable. The ability to look in the mirror and recognize himself. The ability to tell his children about standing up for what's right. The ability to die knowing he never betrayed himself. And that, worth more than $100 million, worth more than all the money in the world. Muhammad Ali died. Funeral broadcast worldwide. One theme in every speech: integrity. Muhammad Ali was the greatest boxer, but that's not what made him a legend. What made him a legend was his refusal to sell who he was, not for $100 million. Will Smith stood at the funeral, told the $100 million story. They came twice, threats first, then money. Both times Ali said no, not because he didn't need money, but because those 10 seconds would have cost him something he wouldn't sell, himself. Muhammad Ali taught us some things don't have a price. Your integrity, your principles. These can't be bought, can't be sold. After his death, the story took on new life. Business schools taught it. Churches used it in sermons. Graduation speeches referenced it because the lesson was timeless. 10 seconds, $100 million, highest pay rate ever offered. Muhammad Ali said no, but people missed the point. It wasn't about that one moment, that one offer. It was about who Ali was long before that offer came. It was about the promise he made at 12. It was about choices he made every single day. When you know who you are, really know, the big decisions become easy. Not easy like comfortable, easy like clear. Ali knew who he was, a man who kept promises to himself, a man who wouldn't compromise principles, a man who'd rather be poor and honest than rich and fake. So when they offered $100 million for 10 seconds, The answer was obvious. Not because Ali was special, because Ali was clear. He'd already decided what kind of man he'd be. The $100 million didn't create a new decision. It tested an old one, and Ali passed. Not because he was superhuman, because he was deeply human. He struggled. He doubted. He felt poverty's pain. He saw what that money could have bought, but he also knew you can lose money and get it back. You lose yourself and you never recover. That's the lesson of Muhammad Ali's life. Not that he was perfect, he wasn't. Not that he never struggled, he did constantly, but that he stayed true to himself, to his promises, to his principles, even when it cost him everything, even when it would have been easier to compromise, even when nobody would have blamed him. He stayed true. 10 seconds equals $100 million. The math is simple, but the decision was about something that can't be calculated. Your sense of who you are, your integrity, your self-respect. Those don't have a price because they're not for sale. Muhammad Ali proved that, not once, but every single day. When someone offers you 10 seconds for $100 million, and those 10 seconds mean compromising who you are, you do what Ali did. You get up, you walk away, you stay true, because that's what champions do. Not in the ring, in life. The night after refusing that offer, Ali looked in the mirror, tired, worried about bills, but whole. He'd kept his promise, and that was worth more than any money. For the rest of his life, Ali would lose many fights, would develop Parkinson's, would lose speech and movement, but he never lost one thing: himself, who he was, the promise he made at 12. And that was worth more than any championship. 10 seconds, $100 million. And a promise worth more than infinity. That was Muhammad Ali's choice. A choice that didn't just make him great, a choice that made him eternal. Because legends aren't built on victories in the ring. They're built on moments when you refuse to compromise who you are, when you choose integrity over money, when you choose self-respect over security, when you choose to be yourself over being bought. That's what Muhammad Ali did, not once, but every single day. And that's why decades after his last fight, we still tell his story. Not because he was the greatest boxer, but because he was the greatest example of what it means to have a price you won't pay, a line you won't cross, a promise you won't break. No matter who's asking, no matter how much they're offering, no matter how hard it gets. Muhammad Ali, the man who said no to $100 million, the man who couldn't be bought, the man who proved some things, the most important things, don't have a price. If you remember nothing else, when someone offers you 10 seconds for $100 million, and those 10 seconds mean compromising who you are, do what Ali did. Get up, walk away, stay true, because that's what champions do, not in the ring, in life.